Good morning and welcome to yet another exciting week on the show business. Today, I have the honor to be stepping in for Amar Mirza and have the opportunity to speak with you all. We have an exciting lineup of speakers and guests today that would highlight an interesting conversation around enabling youth through skilled experiences and conversations amongst professionals that could help empower them, as well as looking at ways and opportunities to gain more knowledge for the youth and build that knowledge for them. On an interesting side note, we have someone who would be walking us through how we could handle, cope, and manage stress better, and possibly get an interesting insight on how we could give stress the karate chop. And not the less, also try and understand how we could build a system amongst our lives on how we could manage these problems better. And last but not the least, we have a couple of entrepreneurs that will be sharing their life journey and their struggles that they have gone through to understand how we could possibly build a career for ourselves through all adversities and also learn on how we could do things better from understanding these opportunities and these experiences. And to summarize this week, we've had an interesting event and a series of events pass by in the past couple of weeks. But last but not the least, we've had the opportunity to have the ABC Awards Dinner 2024 last night, bringing together an unforgettable experience. The ABC dinners have been a large and ongoing celebration that has been carried out since the past 17 years now. And we've been building a stronghold amongst the Asian community all across the Northeast and the Tees Valley. And this year, and as every year, was all about inclusion and celebrating everyone in our community to be included and to be fostered as well as motivated. The ABC Awards, as mentioned, we've been running it for about 17 years now, and the impact that we have been creating over these events has been absolutely tremendous. We've, over the years, supported more than about 1,000 businesses, trained more than about 11,000 people, and created more than about 6,000 jobs. And it's incredible to see everyone come together and build not just the region, but the nation through our community, through our empowering processes. And the focus of the year, as every year and every year to come, was inclusion by default and how we are aiming to make the Northeast the most inclusive region for the UK by 2025. The showcase of the night was the Chairman's Awards and Inclusion by Default, which recognizes individuals and organizations that have made a significant impact in promoting diversity and inclusion in workplaces. I was really inspired by seeing everyone come together and celebrating everyone for what they have done and making friends from all walks of life. The atmosphere was electric as always. We had the legendary Tommy Santu, comedian who absolutely stole the show and brought about life to the show with all his witty jokes and his dance moves. What struck me the most was how diverse the culture and the crowd within the event was. And what's interesting is that the night wasn't all about just giving back or taking orders. We've also had a lot of interactions amongst people bringing about their life stories also and making new friends. So this night was all about celebration, all about bringing us together and us celebrating as a community all together. So I have now with me Sarah, who's going to join in. And Sarah was one of our leading contestants and leading nominations. So Sarah, welcome aboard. Thank you for joining in. Can you hear us? Sarah, are you there?
Hi, Kevin. Yes, I've just managed to mute myself. Sorry, do
No
apologize.
worries. Good morning, Sarah. Thank you for
Good
joining
morning. Good
in.
morning. No, thank you. And thank you for having me on the show.
It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you yesterday, and congratulations on being nominated for the
You
ABC
too.
Awards
Thank
2024.
you so much.
And if you may allow me, I'm more than happy to give the audience a good brief on yourself, and then we would love to hear more on you. So, Saira has done amazing work amongst her community and has shown through everything that she has provided for the community. And Sarah has an interesting background that is deeply rooted in customer service, and that tells more about her on how she has always focused on having the community and the people always comfortable and happy. That has become her second nature and has always extended help towards providing and supporting for the community. And Saira's passion for mental health and mental health awareness has also stemmed all across the community with her provided support and her provided health assurance towards everyone that we have interacted with and the Asian community. And she still continues to drive organizational support through the community, through events that she works all across around. So, Sarah, welcome aboard and thank you for joining in. We would love to hear more about you and what you would like to discuss today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Well, first and foremost, I want to talk about the awards. It was an absolutely amazing evening last night. Obviously, you were there, Kevin, so you know how it was. It was, as you said earlier, it was just so nice to see such a diverse number of people there just enjoying themselves together, and it was just so amazing. I mean, I know ABC always talk about inclusion by default, but to see that inclusion last night, it was absolutely amazing. And everybody was just so friendly and so nice. I had an absolutely wonderful evening. It was lovely to meet even some more people, make new friends, and just to be a part of that atmosphere. It was amazing. Obviously, everybody who was there will know exactly what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. And I think it is these events and these opportunities that enable us to come together. We do have everything happening online where we have groups and we have conversations and there are people posting things, but how many of these opportunities actually bring us together in one room? And I think that is what matters for us to all get together, be in that ongoing conversation that actually drives some sort of support and some sort of change. So, we would love to hear more about your work towards mental health awareness amongst the community, as well as how you have been contributing towards the community.
Of course, yes. So I started doing events about 3 years ago. My first event was for mental health. It was to raise awareness after some troubles that I faced myself, to be perfectly honest. And when I started the conversation, I realized that nobody really knew what mental health was in the South Asian community. The only people who knew were the ones who had actually faced it. But other people, they didn't know how to support, they don't know how to help, they don't understand what it's all about. So that's where my work started. I'll be very honest, it was with just mental health. But the more I've done in the community, the more people I've met, I've realized there's actually so much more that needs to be done. So that's why I became a volunteer for the Health Champions Network with the City Council. And it sort of started from there that I started learning about all the different health topics. And I realized how much more work that was needing to be done to make sure that people in their houses learn about these health topics as well. People who don't go out as much, they don't socialize as much, especially the ladies in our community. And that's sort of where my work sort of stemmed from. And the things that I've sort of done to bring the community together is by holding events. So we've been doing free to attend events around sort of Eid and Ramadan, Mother's Day, just anything really, any excuse to sort of bring the community together and have like an event where people have an excuse to come out of the house, they can socialize. And then more specific to the health network, we've now started the Western Women's Wellbeing Group. We've had 2 meetings so far. So we meet once a month, which I would sort of welcome everybody to join. I'm easily reachable through, am I allowed to say my number, Amar? Sorry,
Um,
I've just called you Amar, Kevin.
that's all right. I'm sure if you could drop in the details for your page and people would find you. So that would definitely help. And I'm sure there would be a
So,
lot of people that would like to get in touch.
of course, so my company name is Usmira. If you search Usmira, I come up on Facebook and on sort of online as well. And we have a website. So all of my numbers are sort of on there. So I'm easily contactable. So we're doing this women's wellbeing group uh, every month, and each month we cover a topic. So we have guest speakers coming in from the council and from sort of we've had Alzheimer's UK so far. We're having diabetes UK next week, and we've had a doctor in as well, Dr. Sonia Emmett. So it is like something that I think a lot of women should start to become a part of. So I want people to get out of their houses and their comfort zones and learn more about health, how to look after themselves, and sort of come out and socialize. People who have actually came have talked about how much of a difference it has made to them for when they were sitting at home and not socializing, for when they've come out and they've met other ladies and they've learned about things and health topics. And I think it's just so important. And obviously, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but the only other message I wanted to give out there is everybody can make a difference in their own little way. That is one thing I sort of really noticed yesterday, especially from the chairman's speech. He was absolutely amazing last night, but I think that everybody should try to make a difference in their own little way. So I really want to encourage that, to just sort of reach out to your neighbours, reach out to people in your community, somebody you haven't heard from a while, just give them a call, see how they're doing. I just really think it's important to sort of start making those connections, like Emma was talking about yesterday, and it's so important.
Absolutely. And I think you've raised a very critical point here that, no matter what or where you are, you must speak to someone, and having that opportunity to reach out to someone and possibly building a safe space for someone as you are doing through your endeavors and through your opportunities that you're creating to allow people to come and speak with you and allow them to be comfortable. I think that is something we absolutely should yeah, have standing claps for you on, and great job on that. And we do
Thank
realize
you. Thank you
that
so much.
we must have some sort of format and platform that brings about people to open up and brings about people to speak about their troubles. Because a lot of us, as you just mentioned, would rather bottle things up and not let anyone else get bothered. And that isn't good
I
for us.
think it's just the way we are, it's the way we've been brought up. It's our community. It's it's become a part of us so much that we don't know how to let it go.
Absolutely. And I think people would love to get in touch with you and get to know more about your organization and your plans that you are working around. So great job on that. And
Thank
uh,
you.
is this the same as the new business that you have started?
No, that's a different sort of part. So I have started a new business last week. We've just opened the first of my shop. I was selling jewelry and gifts online previously, but now that you've given me a chance to mention it, we're 16 Hadrian Road, and we've got a 20% off sale today and tomorrow for anybody who'd like to come along. As I keep saying to the ladies, it's not even to make a purchase. One of the main reasons I've set up a shop is so I've somewhere to sit, somewhere where people can come in for a chat, have a cup of tea, just come and say hello. Really don't mind that at all. So it's another way of opening the doors to sisters who just want to come and say hello and just have somewhere to drop in. And so yeah, I'm going to be there so today, tomorrow, and from next week as well. We're closed on Sunday, unfortunately. So yeah, we do have a new business venture. So fingers crossed it all goes well. I'd love to sort of see more people just pop in, say hello, even if they're not going to make a purchase.
Brilliant, Sarah, and thank you so much for that. And good luck. Good luck on the venture. And
Thank you so much.
we're wishing you all success on this. So before we wrap up the conversation with you, what I would like you to possibly help all our listeners today would be on how could you maneuver through adversities and start your own business. So what would be that one advice you would like to give a new business owner that has had troubles in the past, and how do they get a positive outlook on everything?
I think it's perseverance. I mean, this has been in the making for 3 or 4 years now. And when I first came up with, I'm going to start a business, and I gave it a name. Usman is my husband's name. I'm Syra. Together, we're Usmira, where the name has derived from. And when I first started that, it was sort of, I don't know. I didn't imagine anybody would know the name. It was just like a small idea, and I just put together the company name, and I started a very small sort of selling. I started doing stalls at sort of small events at markets within Newcastle. And because I carried on, even though there were setbacks, there were times I wasn't well, so I stopped working altogether. There was a few months where all of my stock would just sit in the back room. I would say, I don't think I can do this. But it was encouragement that I got actually from my husband that, no, do it. It's okay. Even if you let it go, come back to it. So I think that is the most important thing for wanting to start a business or to make that business successful is always trying, even in ways, just even if you feel like taking a break for a couple of days, do it, but then come back. Because if you've got a good idea and you know that you've got a good idea, then you've got to believe in the idea and take that idea further, just one step at a time. And eventually, for me, it's a dream come true that I've actually gone from just like an online business to opening my own premises right in the heart of Fenham. Did not think that was possible, but 3 or 4 on from when I first had this idea of I want a jewelry store. It's become true, and it's because I didn't give up. And I'm not saying that to sing my own praises. There was a lot of people behind me pushing me. Don't give up. Don't give up. Somebody else is hearing this, and it's going to help them. I think that's the key. And just keep taking those little steps and keep going, and eventually, we'll open the doors. You will get there.
Absolutely inspiring, and I'm heavy in my heart, and I can feel all of all the emotions. So great job and fantastic. I mean, I'm at a
There is a lot of emotions behind this business.
I can
Those who know personally, they know what a difficult few years have had, and it's, as I said, not giving has been sort of the big sort of success that I've come through, and that's why I'm here talking to you today, and I'm sitting in my own shop to run, and it's amazing, but it's all because that's brilliant support from family and friends. That's why, again, I'll mention it again. It's so important to chat to people who might be struggling, even if they're not saying anything. Just try to take that little step towards them. You never know what they might need, and it's just things like that. It's building those connects, lifting each other up that makes us all successful in ourselves, and it helps us make those others successful as well. And I think being a part of a successful community is better than being successful yourself. One person win is not a win. We have the community winning.
And you've said it. You've absolutely said it. Couldn't have said it in a better way. And thank you so much, Sarah. It's been an absolute honor to have you here. And great job. Thank you. And we wish you all the best. Have a great day ahead.
Oh, thank you, Kevin. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'll be listening to the rest. I know you've got some great people lined up. I'll be listening to the rest of the show.
See you around. Thank you.
No problem. You take care now.
Morning, Raj. Morning, Raj. Have you joined in? I think he's just connecting up.
Good morning.
Morning, Raj. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Good morning, Raj. Thanks for joining in, and thanks for joining in all the way from Bradford. So interesting conversations to drive all across the region, and I can see you've got a brilliant background picture up there. So we've got the black belt mindset, which we will be digging in further into. And before we go ahead with our conversation, I'm just quickly going to make a brief introduction on you, and then we're going to learn more about you from yourself. So what does Raj Soren do? Definitely more things that I can count on my fingertips or anyone else could. So from being a martial arts expert to being a mental health advocate and a published author. So tell us more about how you give stress and anxiety the karate chop, and what are the key highlights that you would like to cover today?
Fabulous. Well, thank you for inviting me. It's an honor to be invited to share my thoughts and ideas. Just a bit of background about myself. I've been in the corporate world for 35 years and managing a team and looking after sales of 20 million. And over that period, I've been made redundant 4 times. So that's going to increase your level of stress. There's a couple of key things that happened to me in my life that made me sort of focus on well-being and the importance of stress. One day at work, I had chest pains, palpitations, pain down my arm, not being able to breathe properly, dizziness in my legs. I thought I was having a heart attack. Many of the audience might recognize these things, symptoms, and may have them themselves. Fortunately, it wasn't a heart attack. However, it was stress and anxiety. All these years of working long hours. And that was one of the key factors. I said, I need to change my life. It was getting more diet and exercise, but making sure I looked after me and my health, spending time on my well-being. That's sometimes something we forget. Two other things happened to me that were a turning point. Many of the audience members would have suffered through COVID. I had a particularly tough time, even though I did martial arts, do a lot of exercises. Stress can have an impact on your immune system. And I spent 4 to 6 weeks in bed, suffering with COVID. Thought I was about to die. It took me another 6 months to 12 months to get to my feet and recover. And hope the audience can understand the challenges that people faced then. And some of us didn't make it. You start reevaluating your life. Thirdly, another situation. Some of you will have children or grown-up children who go to university. And one of my daughters went to university over lockdown. And over that time period, she was getting stressed out, having suicidal thoughts, started running away from home, jumping out the window. So there was a terrible time for her and the family. It really broke our heart. We had to try and get her mental health support. In the end, she was sectioned and she was diagnosed with psychosis due to bringing on stress, and she was diagnosed with autism as well. Fortunately, after 2 years of missing university and getting help and support, she's back at university and finishing her final year now. So really proud of her achievements. I was thinking, how many of the families suffer like this, either at work or due to an illness or due to mental health in the family, and yet they're not recognized or not supported, or not as much as we'd like to. Hence, I started writing books on coping with stress and adversity, where I interviewed hundreds of people from around the world, and they shared their stories in conjunction with doctors and Professor of Psychology, Professor Andy MacDonald, who did the foreword for the book. Also wrote on self-esteem and confidence, and in a book called Little Pocket of Confidence, The 10 Golden Steps. And the aspect is bullying. Bullying takes place both in the workplace and schools. So my wife and I wrote a book called Penguin. It's a little penguin who goes to school and who's bullied, and he deals with bullying at school. It's a children's book. So these are the type of things I'm involved with. I'm also a business and culture coach. I support individuals on leadership, team management, culture, vision, and neurodiversity space. Because I've got a webinar coming up soon, a free webinar, a roundtable series on ADHD, because it's ADHD month, and we have different professors as well as experts doing a meeting for us on the Wednesday, the 30th of October, 7:30 to 8:30. So these are a bit about background. I've got a book coming out called Black Belt Mindset, and I'm sure you're going to be asking me questions around the importance of black belt mindset. So a bit of a quick summary of my life.
Brilliant, and a lot of interesting and captivating thoughts there. And a couple of things, Raj, I think it's important for the viewers to get on an insight on as well as we have a lot of ebooks, we have a lot of YouTube videos, we have a lot of online mentors speaking and advocating about mental health and how employees could avoid burnout, and how everyone just lives for the weekend to come. Everyone's just desperately waiting for Friday evening, and they're just pulling themselves through the whole Monday to Friday. What do you suggest, and what do you feel is absolutely needed in organizations these days to kill or mitigate that feeling of employees being absolutely squeezed out by the end of the week and them only waiting for the weekend to get some sort of a breather. What do you suggest could be some of the approaches that these organizations could take?
Their well-being, sickness. This is millions of hours lost due to sickness because of ill health. A number of companies are trying their best to engage with the employees to make sure they get the understanding of where the employees are at, and having mental health support. People trained in mental health first aiders is very important. I was one of those individuals. And making sure that there's safe spaces for individuals where they can confide in somebody, because that's sometimes difficult for individuals to say that they are struggling with their mental health. So if the culture is right, it's coming from the MD, it's coming from HR, it's coming from managers, that it's okay not to be well or struggle. And that's a starting point for conversation. Then they can be signposted to the right individuals, rather than a token gesture saying, "Oh, these are our values. We really care about you," but we don't. We just want the bottom line of getting the profits in. So I think that culture is important. More training for managers, vitally important as well. Having worked with different organizations, some are quite variable. They will say a good line. It looks good on their website, but do they really care about as much as they should be? So I think making sure that there's spaces for people to relax in a comfortable environment where they can have mindfulness. Sometimes they have yoga spaces, they have mindfulness spaces. Having trees and plants around are very important for us to get that energy. Having natural sunlight as well, because sometimes these buildings that we work in, we don't have that available. And making sure that there's options for hybrid working or remote working, because we know that the lockdown had changed the world in terms of the way we worked. Certain individuals benefited from lockdown because they didn't have to rush through the traffic. They didn't have to spend hours on the road. They didn't have to go to the office, and possibly they were facing challenges with bosses or colleagues, even getting abused in some way, bullied. So they can avoid that. So they can be in their own space, because a lot of the neurodiverse individuals prefer to have their own space. And others struggled. I managed a team, originally a large team, and unfortunately half of them got divorced because of the challenges they faced, having to be put into a lockdown. So building trustworthy relationships, setting the culture right from the top, being open and honest, and having those conversations, and allowing people time off to recuperate. So these are some of the ways that you can do that. So what's your sort of take on these situations in industry?
Oh, absolutely. And I completely agree with you. It has to be something that is backed by substance. It has to be something that is an open conversation dialogue, where it's not just promises coming from one end, but it has to be promises given and taken. So definitely, everything that comes across, not just you working in an organization, sitting on your desk and carrying out your tasks as they are day and night, getting handed over more tasks or less tasks, irrespective of what the nature of the business is. What you said about the productivity and the scalability of the business in terms of how many employees are actually on the ground on the day, rather than them being sick or unwell, is absolutely critical. And that all links back to the employee satisfaction, to the levels of the employee being comfortable. And I'm quite curious to know, how does black belt mindset figure out into all of this? And what are some of the strategies that you provide, not just to leadership, but to employees or business owners or potential business owners looking at starting off? What are some of the tricks and techniques that they could learn from you, or they could get in touch with you for, to get that strong black belt mindset up and ready, and get them ready to face any of these adversities?
Indeed. You don't have to be a martial artist to understand the black belt mindset. I was speaking to a number of business owners last week in Huddersfield, and we talked about the black belt mindset. So the task I asked of them is, imagine that you're training to become a black belt in martial arts. What type of things would you have to do in order to get to a black belt? And they sat there quietly, starting to write down some of the key things. They talked about being consistent, being focused, having a plan in place, having a mentor, having a coach, being a good listener and coachee. And these are some of the things that are having a goal in place that you're committed to. There's no change compared to that in business. In business, we have to be focused. We have to be consistent in our message, in our actions, and our behavior. We need the right coaches and people around us to support us. And so these are some of the principles of what level are you coming in at. You may be a white belt. You're not familiar with business or culture or in a working environment, but you're willing to learn. Or you may be coming from a different company and you join another company. You may be already a black belt in your business in terms of mindset. However, you start to adjust to new situations, new behaviors, new processes within an organization. So how do you get involved with change management? How do you get the mindset right for culture within that organization? We can't steamroll ourselves with new ideas unless we have a good foothold in terms of how individuals tick in that organization. So building trust, whether it's in a black belt mindset environment or whether it's in business, is vitally important. Then people are more open to dialogue, more open to taking advice. And whether you're a black belt or whether you are a business owner, you start to look after your health and well-being. Breathing exercise is vitally important in terms of mindfulness. I use something mnemonic called MEDS, MEDS, not medicine. It's something that you can do every single day. M is for mindfulness. You spend personal time looking after your health. Do the things that you enjoy, whether it's music, whether it's walking, whether it's sports, those type of things. So being mindful and being in the moment. We're so busy with our minds being cluttered with so much information coming through at work, in social media, news, that we sometimes forget how we think. We become human doings rather than human beings. So M for mindfulness. E for exercise. Get regular exercise. I remember working over lockdown, spending 10 hours a day on the computer. We don't take enough rest in between those. We get backache, we got neck ache. Just taking a simple walk in fresh air. They say that 70 to 80% of mental health and depression can be treated by exercise. And fully believe that. And diet, D for diet. Are we rushing from work, business, meetings, having a coffee, not having much of a lunch or evening meal, missing out on good quality food? So having a good effective diet, surprisingly, will impact on your black belt mindset as well as your business. And sleep. You cannot underestimate the importance of sleep. They say that you need about 7 to 8 hours sleep. And people say, oh, I don't need that sleep. I need 4 hours of sleep. But your brain and your body needs that. Kevin, would you like to lose 10% of your IQ?
Absolutely not.
Of course not. Well, that's what sleep can do. No, of course not. Yeah. People have research has shown that you can lose up to 10% of your IQ.
I can absolutely understand that. And there are days where I think I get barely any sleep, but the way it is, that's another follow-up question that I have for you, Raj. And the work, the pressures that we all face today, the demands of the industry, to also understanding how we could cope up with the competition. There's a lot of stress that young professionals, and not just young professionals, but professionals all across all ages are facing in today's day and age. And I know we're about to wrap up on our session here. But if you could just summarize in a couple of lines on how we could personally mitigate. We got the meds framework and we've got the meds technique, but immediately the day I wake up, the day I look at what my schedule looks like, how would you suggest that I go ahead with my day, have a positive mindset, and just champion through everything I do? So if you had to summarize that in 3 lines, what would that be?
Sure. Believe in yourself, that you're worth investing in for your health and well-being. Spend a bit of time on you, do the things that you enjoy. And that's vitally important, because if you're not enjoying life, you're going to struggle. Pressures are going to come and attack us all the time, day in, day out. So accept it, work around it, have a strategy in place that's going to work for you, whether it's mindfulness, whether it's spending time with family, whether it's playing guitar, whether it's just having fun on a beach. Make sure you invest in you, because especially if you've got family and other people that are relying on you, you need to be the healthiest person to be able to do that. And if you're struggling with your health, for whatever reason, you have to manage it.
Thank you.
So I wish everyone success in giving stress.
Absolutely. And I think that is something that all of us need to get on with our lives and give stress that karate chop, that much deserved karate chop. So thanks a lot, Raj. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. And I'm sure everyone can look up Raj, just type down black belt mindset and Raj would pop up, have a conversation with him, learn more from him and get in touch with him. See you around, Raj, and thanks for joining in. We'll be in touch.
Fabulous. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Take care. Morning, Ahmad.
How are you?
Morning, Ahmad. Thanks for joining in. An absolute pleasure meeting you yesterday at the awards. It's been a fantastic evening having you there. And congratulations on being nominated as well. Amazing work that you've done all across. I'm ready to go ahead and give a small introductory brief on you, but we'd love to hear more from you yourself and learn more about you. So from having an illustrious career in the tech sector to now being recognized and nominated for awards amongst the communities, tell us more about yourself and what are the key highlights you would like to cover today?
Good morning. Well, it was fantastic night last night. I believe everybody was a winner, including the people who came with the nominees. I mean, I know for a fact my wife really enjoyed it. I mean, I'm a simple person born in Iraq. I've lived across 3 continents. I've studied in 3 different continents. And that, although at the beginning was a challenge having, you build your friendships through school, mine was on 3 different timelines, which was a challenge by itself. But then as I grew up, it's actually one of the best things that ever happened to me. I've got people in the US, I've got people here in the UK, I've got people in the Middle East. I'm a father of one 18-year-old daughter. She's doing her A-levels this year. And a forced parent of a Scottish bald cat. Uh, and I've started my career, to believe it or not, as a mechanical engineer graduate. I did my master's degree in aerodynamics and design, but I had to change career after my first role, which ended up on the first day of my job because my father was and had an Iraqi passport, didn't get a British passport. And I was literally escorted out of that said company because in 92, you wouldn't let an Iraqi into a military grade manufacturing place. And I switched to technology, which was always been a passion ever since 1983 when I got my first Commodore 64. All the generation will understand what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Married for 27 years.
Amazing, amazing insights. And I think you've really touched upon something that can be a good driving conversation here today is, you know, all of the skill development you've had over the years across borders, across the globe. You've moved from one thing to another in terms of specializing within your skill to understanding ecosystems to then also understanding how you've probably maneuvered through all of these adversities. And I feel it is very important for the younger generation to have someone not just, going through books or going through YouTube videos, but actually having that one person there with them, mentoring them on what the possibilities or the potentials of their career could be. Because um, what the generation of today looks like is we can't gauge their potential. It's they're far ahead, advanced in terms of technology, in terms of ease of using technology, and the opportunities that they have are absolutely endless.
Yeah.
So I would love to touch upon more on understanding how, especially your mentoring relationship with your daughter. How are you preparing her for looking at a new career or, understanding what her career prospects could look like? Also to see how that could be scaled up into an initiative that can be driven for the region and not just for the region, but internationally as well. So would
Yeah.
love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's I mean, to start with, the new generation, not only they have an endless amount of opportunities, they are much smarter than we were when we were their age. So we have to acknowledge that. For the pure uh, point of they have more access to information. If we needed a piece of information, we need to walk to the library, look for the book, find it or not, and then read through it to get one simple sentence. Now you're literally a couple of clicks away. You don't even need to type anymore. You just ask by voice, and you'll get the answer. So the challenge there is how to link all that into real world scenarios and stories and trying, because the downside of having that much information and access of it is they become dependent and somewhat, I don't know if the word fits, it's lazy, and not lazy in terms of actions, but lazy in terms of um, mental capacity of thinking about things because they have everything ready for them. That clicked when I contacted my daughter's school when she was year 11. And I said, I want to talk to the students. I'll explain to them what my field is and give them a boost because they're all laid back because of this access of information. They needed somebody to reignite that spark in their heads. And I did a 2 hour session with year 10, 11, 12, and then I did another session with the year 13s. Um, they were seriously interested to understand and ask questions. And you can tell from the audience, the more questions you get, that means they're interested in what you're saying. And to be honest, my next step or next planned step is I want to create some kind of a community. And we start with the region of professionals who can spare an hour or two, even if it's once, doesn't have to be a regular monthly or weekly. And that individual would go to schools, to a specific school, and say and share their or her experience or his experience with the students to give them a taste of what real life is. From a personal experience, we all listen to our parents when we were kids, but there's an extra bit you listen to when a stranger that interests you like a distant relative or one of your family friends' dads who you think, oh, he or she are cool, says something that you'd listen to what they're saying. And I'm trying to capitalize on that. So, yes, I mean, I welcome the help. If we can create that community through ABC, through your station to get professionals together and start working even on a local level. We all have kids, or some have kids. We can go through our kids to our schools and try to arrange that, sharing the success stories with them and give them a glimpse into what to expect and what motivates them to study harder at year 10, 11, 12, and 13. Because once they get into university, it's a different approach altogether. It's just getting them on that train. And by the way, they don't have to go to university. There are other roads they can take equally successful. It's just it's getting that spark back into their heads and stop them from relying so much on the ease of information.
Absolutely. And I think you've really covered some very, very important points there, because if we had to look back almost a decade or a couple of decades, a decade is too short, but a couple of decades before, where the job avenues would just be about 5 or 6 options that people would have, either manufacturing or military or healthcare or business. So now the issue or opportunity, however you want to look at it or place it, is that there are plenty of opportunities. There are about from 5, we've gone to 5,000. So that leaves a lot of the young professionals, a lot of the young businessmen, also students for that fact, to try and gauge and understand where they fit in. And up until it's all theoretical and people read through stuff, or people go through books or videos, or they speak to people, they aren't really gauging or understanding where do they actually fit into. And
Yeah.
it's an interesting conversation because this links back to my own childhood. My father was a pilot, and up until he actually took me into the aircraft, showed me the cockpit, showed how the takeoff and everything happens, I never really understood what was to that job and how it would, entail all of these things. Of course, the internet has got us closer with all of these things. There's much more exposure that comes through, but how how well are we capturing that real life experience amongst these professionals and young students? So same goes for your sessions that you are delivering now to these students, and having that open dialogue, those one-to-ones where they are actually asking someone from the field who works in the field what it is like. And there's often a lot of hesitation that comes across the students. One is probably because they're shy. Two is probably because they would think that no one would understand them. So there are a lot of these issues and these concerns that need to be very delicately handled as well. So I absolutely agree that there has to be almost a community-like setup that we build, that from people from the tech sector that probably could take these students along with them, show them what actually goes on in the job, day in the life kind of a setup. Same goes for all across the board, all
Yeah.
across industries, where these students and professionals could actually see or get the exposure of what's happening around. And I think that is absolutely critical. And what you're doing is great. Is there something on a formal level that you're creating with this? Are you looking at building an organization through this?
I haven't I haven't done that yet, but the plan and the ambition is to do that, make it a more formal entity. Um, but I will need support from individuals, and I started talking to others and see how we can formulate that and govern it to deliver what we need to the new generation. Because I don't think that we are as wise as our parents were. That's why I'm trying to spread the capabilities across to because of the children, the students, they come from so much diverse background. It makes it hard for them to listen and to try to find the true advice from the false advice. And the internet in its entirety is filled with the good and bad. And the last thing we want is a year 10 or a year 11 gets misled into believing something like these passive income schemes and stuff like that. We want them to believe in the real world, hard work. Nothing comes for free. There's nothing that, unless you won 100 million or you inherited 100 million, and even with that, if this is what my dad used to say, if I leave you a mountain of gold and you don't have the right mind, you'll spend it and you'll beg. So that's the message I want to get out to the young generation. You need to be capable, which means in any background, in any field, you need to have your own thing, something you're passionate about and you're good at it. And it doesn't matter how much you make, because A, it's not going to be a job because you enjoy it. And B, you'll be making the money. It's going to be a side effect of you enjoying your time. And it has to be hard work. Nothing comes for free. Nothing comes easy. If it comes easy, nobody would like it. You'll drop it like a used t-shirt. But if you worked hard for it, you'll love it.
Absolutely. And I think you haven't, this couldn't be summarized in any better way. So great job on that. And I'm sure there would be some people who would love to get in touch with you. So if there's a website or if there's a format where they could reach out to you, so please go ahead and mention that. Yep.
I'm still actually building the website. I bought the domain. It's called ecap.co.uk. But my email address is ahmed, ahmed, at eqab.co.uk. You've got that email address, Kevin, and I'll welcome anybody, even if somebody wants to be supported emotionally, be guided, the audience, their kids, more than happy to support.
Brilliant. And thank you so much for joining in, Ahmad, today. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we loved having you over last night at the awards. Do join us. We're going to have a lot of highlights of the awards posted over our social media on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. So go ahead, engage, and have all the interactions you can with the posts, because we'll have all our pictures up there. And thank you so much for joining in, and we will see you next week on the show business. So thank you for tuning in, and take care.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Bye-bye.